The government's stealing your money, and they've basically admitted it. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's confirmed to be their strategy. I was talking to someone the other day who's had a conversation with a former Chancellor of the UK who told him outright inflation is now a strategy. Think about that for a second. For decades, politicians denied that inflation was ever used deliberately. They'd call it a side effect, an unfortunate accident. But now, well, it's admitted. But here's what that actually means. The UK is sitting on nearly £3 trillion of debt. That, by any imagination, is an unmanageable amount. I mean, we can't even comprehend how much that really is in reality. But instead of running the country well, balancing the books, cutting waste, they can let inflation just run higher. Why? Because inflation silently eats away at debt. When money loses value, debt becomes easier to pay back. And the government's massive liabilities shrink in real terms. But only because your money is worth less. What do I mean by that? Well, when prices go up, you can buy less with the same amount of money that you've got today. The same goes for debt. £1 million of debt is still £1 million in the future, assuming you've got it on interest only payment, that is. In the future, with inflation, that £1 million is actually worth less. Therefore, it's much easier to service or even pay off. And that's the trick. They're servicing it with your savings, your wages, your pensions. Look, when inflation goes up, your taxes go up, your spending power goes down, and the government quietly wins. They don't actually care if that hurts you or not. They just don't. So when all that's going on, if you've got savings in the bank, they're quietly shrinking. If you've got a salary, it's worth less every single year. As I bet your pay rise is not going to keep up with the rate of inflation. I don't have to tell you that. You can feel it in your pocket. It's theft by stealth. But here's where I want you to flip your thinking. Because while people are sleepwalking into poverty, and they are, there are ways to turn this strategy into your advantage. Number one, get into real productive assets. Property is one of the few things that historically keeps up with inflation. Also, rents tend to keep up with inflation too. Bricks and mortar doesn't vanish like the pound in your bank account. But, and this is key, you have to do it right. Overpay, pick the wrong area, or get stuck in expensive finance, you could be substantially worse off. Number two, education beats speculation. You need systems that are built for this exact climate. Buy, refurbish, rent, refinance, alternative cash flow strategies like HMOs and SA, creative no money down deals. They're all playbooks that let you make real money and real wealth so that inflation doesn't impact you in the way it might be doing right now. Number three, use leverage wisely. Inflation erodes the value of debt, which means if you lock in your debt at today's rates and rents rise because of inflation, you win. Let's say you take on £100,000 worth of interest-only mortgage on a property, and you do that today. In 20 years, with inflation, 100k won't be worth or feel like what 100k feels like today. Think about it. Back in the 60s and 70s, you could buy a house for just a couple of grand. Now the average house costs nearly 300 grand. So if you had an interest-only mortgage back then, and you still have it today, that debt would almost feel like nothing. Plus, it'd be much easier to pay off. And that's what's happening and will continue to happen into the future. And that's exactly why we built Property.School. Property.School is our online platform helping thousands of people like you understand these realities. And we're helping them to get into property investing so you can beat inflation, build cash flow, and even replace your income. Even if you think that you don't have the money. There's new content every single week, plus we have hundreds of hours of courses, resources and masterclasses showing you how to invest in this climate. From being able to raise money, find private investors and raise JV partner finance, to being able to find the best properties at auction and how to buy them, to building a personal brand that attracts money instead of you having to chase it. Plus, we've got training on all the different strategies: BRRR, SA, deal packaging, no money down, HMO, commercial conversions, everything's in there. It's all there. And the best bit is you can get access to all of this with no ongoing contract and a low investment of less than 50p a day, which is less than just one coffee per week. So I'm going to invite you now to type into any browser, Property.School/go. Type that into any browser and do it now, and then click join. This is the difference between being drained by inflation or being one of the few who profit from it. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just complain about the government stealing your money or how much poorer you're getting. Do something about it. Because history shows us something important. In every period of high inflation, a small group comes out richer. Not because they're luckier, but because they were prepared. And because they made the right moves. And you can be in that group. Choice is yours. Join me inside Property School and let's turn this so-called inflationary strategy into your opportunity. I'll see you inside.